Hello, everybody. Welcome. John Aravosis here in DC. I'm going to go live on TikTok as I'm talking to you guys. Where is this? There it is. Go live. Be free. All right. There we go. Woo-woo. Introduce yourselves, as always, where you're from. We're going to see when the TikTokers start rolling in here. All right, we're waiting. There we go. Ren Joko, you were the first person on TikTok to join us. Woo! Welcome, guys. Welcome, YouTubers and everybody else. Hey, guys. Hello, Brianna. Ypsilanti. Exactly. See, some of you know. Hey, Sassy. Yeah, let people know where you're from if you would, if you're in the mood. But we like to take North Macedonia. That's cool. Not been up. I've only been to the other Macedonia. But yeah, we like to take a minute and just kind of have folks introduce themselves. That way it gives people a chance to actually join us, because it usually takes a couple minutes for the rest of the TikTok game to come in, and also the YouTubers. So we take a minute. Ireland, Long Island, where I lived for 2 years, close to the city. Sweden, love you. Love you even more in Nato, Sweden. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk about that tonight, among other stories. So once I get rolling, basically I do the news summary for maybe 25 minutes, and then I take your questions for a good 45 minutes or so. Thank you, Chris and Ted. Appreciate that. So as always, we'll wait another minute, a couple minutes, and just have folks. Hello, Wales. What else we got? But yeah, so just folks introduce yourselves. We'll wait a minute. Australia, just say where you're from. Nepal, that's very cool. Nova Scotia, Sweden, got a lot of Sweden, Norway. Got a lot of you Scandinavians today. UK, Newfoundland, which I learned to pronounce correctly a while ago. Used to pronounce it Newfoundland because you know. Pennsylvania, Cheshire, UK, cool. Alaska, always love Alaska checking in. Poland, woo! Poland, you've been doing God's work. What do you say? You know, nothing more to say than that. Oops, adjusting my little light here. There we go. Ooh, got the sun coming in, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, it should be okay today. Haitian, very cool. Idaho, Denmark. All right, we'll take another minute. We're almost getting there. Just another minute, folks introducing themselves, and then we'll start off. Wales. We got somebody else from Wales, too. Netherlands. Yeah, we love Poland. Poland's been being... Hello, Romania. Thank you for that. Ukraina. Slava. Some of your names, I tried to thank some of you for putting the cute things on TikTok, but it can be hard because your names are hard to pronounce sometimes. That was like Ad David. Oh, Yasu Elava. Ukraine. Love to see the people from Ukraine. Always fun to see you guys. Hungary, Missouri. All right. I think we can get rolling. I usually wait till we hit about 3,000 on TikTok. We just did. Welcome, everybody. I'm John Aravosis. We've been doing this every night. Thank you on the TikTokers. Always like my TikTok gifts. I appreciate them. Thank you. We've been doing this now pretty much since the war started. I'm trying to remember when the first days we did this, but I remember a couple days into the war. Actually, sure, because the war probably started Thursday or something, and that weekend I did one of these, thank you, on a Saturday or Sunday, and you guys were like, let's do one tomorrow. And I was like, tomorrow? And then I thought about it. I was like, you know, the war does have new news every day, and we just started doing it, and now it's been doing this almost as long as the war every day. This weekend, I'm traveling to Chicago on Sunday, so we won't be able to do it Sunday, but I'll be back Monday. I did not call Mom, so there's always a decent chance that my mother's going to call in the middle of this and freeze TikTok because it's what my mother does. Just to remind folks, so yeah, I'll do it. I'm John Aravosis, Washington, D.C. Welcome all of you. Love that we've got a big crowd tonight. I will do my 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so about the news overall, the things that I think were important today. There actually was a lot of news today, and pretty good news today. I mean, there's one really awful story I'm going to tell you because it needs to be told, but the news is pretty positive. Positive. We're still waiting for an explosion in the East. Big war breaking out as far as Russian attacking, but today's news has been pretty good. Now, that's kind of cool. I've not seen that before. Thank you. Well, that's very cool. Sorry, the TikTok stuff. It's pretty. That was a cool one. I'd not seen that before. So in any case, what you do is, in the meantime, while I'm talking, if you got questions on TikTok, post them in the question feature. I believe it's called Q&A or something like that. And you can click that and add your question there. And excuse me, my allergies are always kicking in when I'm starting with you guys. You trigger my allergies. Ukraine, Russia triggers. I'm allergic to Russia. On YouTube, you can enter your questions in the little comment box right there. That's the easiest thing. I try to get to them, but there's no way to get to all of them. There's just too many questions among all of you. I always promise for anybody who wants to support my work at the same time by grabbing a super chat question on YouTube, I promise that I'll get to that question next. So at least I always will get to the super chat questions. And so far, we haven't had a problem going too late with the super chat questions. So anyway, once again, guys, John Rivos is here, Washington, D.C. Hello, TikTok. Hello, YouTube. Let's dive right in. So the number of interesting things today. Okay, so we're still waiting for the big war to break out in the East. I mean, it's happening, but as a number of the commentators are saying, it's not even the next phase in the war. It's kind of the next war. The first war was for the North. It was for, I feel like we're Game of Thrones, but it was the war for the North. The Russians lost. The Ukrainians won. They're gone. The Russians are out of the North. So far, northern Ukraine with Kyiv is free. They're safe. Western Ukraine, for now, is safe. The Russians still have a lot of cruise missiles and other things that they can bomb the heck out of these cities if they want, but at least that's done, more or less. Now is the big battle for the East. There's big convoys that you may have heard of the Russians moving in tanks and, armored personnel carriers and artillery, the big artillery that can go, I don't even know. I think they go miles. I don't even know how long the artillery can shoot for, but it's meant to shoot from far away, right? And they're expecting that to be a horrific battle. They're comparing it to World War II in terms of the number of tanks, hundreds of tanks and, personnel carriers just on the Russian side. It's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be in open fields, which apparently also makes it a little more difficult to use like the javelin, like the shoulder weapons. You got the Stinger that is used to shoot planes down, right? The javelin, that's an anti-tank weapon that goes over the shoulder, looks like a Stinger kind of, but a big front piece like this. Harder to use those in open fields because you've got to stand up and you're a sitting duck. Much easier to use it for the urban combat and the stuff that they've been doing in northern Ukraine. So this war in the East is going to be bloody. It's going to be scary. And it could start even within the next few days, could wait for a few weeks. We don't know. In the meantime, nonstop bombing has been going on of Kharkiv, which is the second largest city in Ukraine, 1.5 million people, northeast of Ukraine. Russians have been really bombing it second to Mariupol. Mariupol, we all know, is that poor city in the south that has just been getting beaten for 6 weeks now. Russians won't let food and water in. They won't let humanitarian convoys in. It's just been horrible what's going on there. There's a group of Ukrainian troops that are holding out. 1,000 of them did, wave the white flag or to surrender. They ran out of food and ammunition and everything. They surrendered. The other guys are still there fighting. They've even managed to consolidate their troops. There were two different troops, apparently. One is Ukrainian Marines, and the other is this Azov battalion. They were able to at least combine. They're fighting together. It's still going on. And remarkably, when you think, God, are we day 47 or so, maybe even 48 into this war? And the Russians were supposed to win on the third day, and they didn't. So still pretty remarkable. Mariupol, very important. We can talk more about that later. I mentioned last night why it mattered. President Zelensky of Ukraine met today in Kyiv, surprise visit by President Duda of Poland again, and he brought with him the presidents of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which are the Baltic countries just to the north there. Remember, those three countries used to be part, thank you for the roses, by the way. I think that might have been Yuhan, I'm not sure. But those three countries were part of the Soviet Union. Poland was part of the Eastern Bloc. So Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia were part of the Soviet Union. Poland wasn't part of the Soviet Union, but basically it was a puppet state of the Soviet Union. The Soviets controlled it. So it was part of the Eastern Bloc, this sort of Eastern, almost NATO of the Soviet Union, if you want to call it. This coalition of countries, but it wasn't a coalition at all. It was literally a police state run by the Soviets. Any case, so good news that they all met today. These kind of personal connections, thank you for that, Penfield. These kind of, and here for Ukraine, these kind of connections are always helpful to have the leaders know each other, meet each other. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you about, thank you for that, what the U.S. is doing and what Biden is doing. And part of it seems to be because he had a personal talk with President Zelensky, and Zelensky got him to give more than we were planning on giving. That's what is matter. That's why it matters when you hear about these foreign leaders going over to Ukraine and meeting with Zelensky. Because if you can establish that kind of rapport, you can possibly get even more because you get to know each other. You have a personal connection. And in this case, it looks like it worked for Zelensky, but I'll tell you that in a second. A story out literally right before I came on. We don't know if it's true. There have been stories like this before. I just Googled and read up on this. Exactly. This is funny. Pam V just brought it up. The Moskva sinking. We don't know if it's true. So, I saw the hat. Thank you there on TikTok. There is a Russian ship, actually the flagship of the Russian fleet in, both of you, thank you guys. Flagship of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. The Black Sea is that big body of water just south of Ukraine. So if you look at Ukraine on the map, it's got ports and things in the south. That's the Black Sea. Turkey's there, Romania's there, right? Well, the flagship, like their top ship, their most powerful ship, is called the Moskva, which is the name Moscow in Russian, Moskva. Well, there are reports from Zelensky's office and from also some Ukrainian military people or government people in the area there by Odessa in the south, that the Ukrainians used a Neptune missile. Thank you for that, guys. The Ukrainians used a Neptune missile, which is an anti-ship ballistic missile. I had to Google that. I didn't know. To blow up or at least hit the Moskva. Now, we don't know if it's true. This is unconfirmed. The Ukrainians are claiming it. Apparently, as I said, in the past, they've claimed some of these in the past that have not been true. So the experts are kind of holding off. It would be pretty amazing if it's true, because we're talking, this is a huge deal, this ship. I mean, this is not only their flagship, it is their most powerful ship by far that they've got there. And if the Ukrainians hit it, I mean, just psychologically alone for them, I mean, if they destroyed it, even better. But just the psychology of being able to hit this ship would really hit the Russians hard. Now, John Silverman just posed a super chat question or comment. Huge fan. Thank you, John. What role can our trade relations play here to encourage China? Okay, interesting you said that. And thank you. Here for you. I thought it was here for UK. It's here for Ukraine on TikTok. Thank you for that. So John's asking, what role can our trade relations with China play to encourage China to put pressure on Putin? Will Russia overthrow Putin? Let's do the first part first. The second one we've talked about a lot. Who knows? I mean, who knows? No one's thinking it's coming anytime soon. Thank you for the disco ball. On the first part, you know what? That's the next story. I'm laughing, John. Glad you gave me that donation before I got the next story, because the next story is covering that point about China. So very interesting. Let me listen to this. So Treasury Secretary Yellen today, okay? So Joe Biden's Treasury Secretary in America, that's the finance minister, right? So Janet Yellen urged China on Wednesday to persuade Russia to end its war in Ukraine and warned that staying on the sidelines could jeopardize China's standing in the global economy. So Yellen puts out that statement. Now, these two could be disconnected. They could be connected. We find out today that Huawei, I Googled it, and apparently, according to the Wikipedia, it's like Huawei. I'm not going to try to speak Chinese, but Huawei, so it's close enough. The huge Chinese technological firm, phones, all sorts of technology. Thank you for the hat. All sorts of technology has suspended new orders and in Russia, and they furloughed their staff. Initially, they asked their staff to work from home because they weren't sure what orders they were getting, what was happening. Well, now they furloughed the staff, meaning basically furloughing is kind of firing the staff, but not firing them, saying, you're not working for us anymore, but someday we'd love to have you back. And stopping new orders. The concern, and this is where it gets interesting with John's question and with what I just said about the Treasury Secretary of the U.S. telling the Chinese, look, get with it, stop violating these sanctions. The fear was that Western secondary sanctions against businesses violating the sanctions could be used against China, meaning you've got the sanctions against Russia, but then you'll have sanctions against any country that tries to break the sanctions and helping Russia anyway, that does business with Russia of sanctioned technology, for example. And the Chinese are afraid that we're going to sanction their businesses. And Huawei now is obeying the sanctions. Now they are such a big and important company in China, and China being what China is, Huawei doesn't get to do this unless the leadership in Beijing approved it and was on board. So very interesting. Thank you for that on TikTok. Very interesting news. On the second thing, John asked about, will Putin be overthrown at some point? He's been there for 20 years. He's paranoid. He's a dictator, former spy. He certainly seems to know how to cling to power. He may not be very good at fighting wars, but he knows how to cling to power. Thank you here for it. The people would need to rise up. Who knows if the people are going to rise up? They never seem to really do. I mean, there have been 2011 had some pro-democracy demonstrations, right? And Putin really got pissed about that, thought Hillary Clinton had a role in it, like all this stuff, which is why Putin has like a long-term vendetta against Hillary now, because he thinks she helped foment the pro-democracy protests in 2011 in Russia. But the people don't seem very willing to stand up. The one thing that I had read, there was a really interesting piece by a former CIA guy who was our top Russia guy for CIA here in Washington, running the bureau, I guess, for CIA. And he was saying that Putin has to be careful of the spy elites. So, the FSB, which is basically the KGB follow-on, it's broken into parts, but their version of the CIA, that these guys not only have a lot of power, thank you for that. You're just kind of like going nuts today on TikTok. Thank you for that here for Ukraine. But they not only have a lot of power, but they've actually got their own troops in essence. They've got like 100,000, some kind of I don't know if it's a gendarmerie or something like that, but they've got all sorts of like domestic military type people working for them too. And they see themselves as the keepers of the faith, kind of the defenders of the country. And what this former CIA guy was saying was that if the FSB, like all the secret services and meaning the spy services, perceive that Putin is literally endangering the country, and thank you for that, Brenda, endangering the country, that because he's destroyed the military, he's created the perception abroad that the military doesn't work, that the military sucks. So now you run the risk. Thank you for that too. You run the risk of countries attacking Russia, thinking they're vulnerable because their military doesn't work. All this kind of stuff, that they could be a threat to Putin. That if they think the sanctions are destroying the economy, the military, we're losing our men in the battlefield, that they could potentially stand up to Putin. But who knows? No one sees it happening anytime soon. Thank you for that. But it's very interesting. Now, the horrible story, and then followed by more good stories. But I wanted to report on this because I haven't been talking about this a lot because it's kind of a sensitive topic. And I mean, it's just hard to talk about. And especially, God knows, TikTok and YouTube. Thank you for that. All I can see was the first part of your name, all Shmu. And John Johan. I can call you or Johan or Johan, I guess, depending if you're German or Swedish. Thank you either way. There have been a lot of reports, and I've got to use a euphemism apparently because TikTok gets upset about this. Thank you for that. But a lot of reports of violations of women by Russian troops. I mean, a lot. Young women that have gotten pregnant as a result. There was a story yesterday. I talked about it. I think one of you brought it up, and I mentioned as well, something like 25 women were forced to stay in a house, like in a basement, and they kept them for violating them over a period of days. 9 of them may now be pregnant. I mean, it's horrible stories. This one just stuck out because it's so inhuman and, again, awful story, but important to share because I think it tells you something larger about what's going on with the Russians. So thank you for that, Brenda. So CBS is reporting. CBS News is one of our top news networks here in the States. CBS is reporting that a Russian soldier violated an 83-year-old woman who was taking care of her disabled husband who was in the other room. Her village was occupied by the Russians last month. The woman says he broke into her house. He said, I lost this part of the quote. He said something to her. I don't know what. He was stealing, whatever he was doing. And she said, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Like, look at your government. I mean, look, why is your government coming in and doing this to my country? Why are you? And he said, oh, you think and he said to her, you're a smart one, huh? Well, he grabs me by the back of the neck, she said. I started to choke. 83 years old. I started to choke. I couldn't breathe. I told him, I'm old enough to be your mother. Would you let this happen to your mother? She continues, he made me shut up. That's all she said. He then went and violated her, 83 years old, mind you. When he finished, he grabbed a bottle of vodka, she said. I asked if I could put my clothes back on. He barked, no. When the man left her house, he fired his assault rifle in the air 3 times outside. In other words, like one last cool thing he did was firing his rifle in the air. Really just sickening. I mean, obviously sickening. And there's a lot of these stories, but like I said, I wanted to share that one because it just gets so at the animal nature of so many of these troops. It's really, there's an interview of her? God. I mean, I knew this, or maybe it was CBS then because I saw it in an article. But, oh, God, yeah. Some folks on TikTok are saying they actually saw the interview with the woman. 83 years old. My God. Just the attitude, everything about it. But, anyway, James Glidden. And, yeah, actually, I might as well say in tandem with that, I may have mentioned yesterday, I put it on TikTok, but I didn't realize at the time when I put it up, there was this really wonderful protest, thank you, outside the Russian embassy in Estonia yesterday. And it was basically a bunch of people, I think men and women, standing together, shirts, taking off their pants, as we say in America, trousers, just wearing their underwear, which you Brits called pants, and hands tied behind their back, bag over their head, and apparently like red around their crotch, which I didn't see the red and didn't know it was apparently a protest. I was thinking it was a protest just about the violence because they look like the people who are about to be executed, the civilians, but apparently it was a protest about all the violence against women being perpetrated by the Russians. Really moving visual. I mean, this, it just very, very effective. Awful, obviously, but very effective. James Glidden asks or says, I understand the fear of a nuclear war, but do you think the U.S. is reacting so weak, for lack of a better word, because midterm elections are around the corner? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, I think the American people are kind of divided on this thing. The polls, and this is now 2 weeks ago, so I haven't seen any more recent polls, but 2 weeks ago, the American polls were showing that the American people felt like Biden wasn't doing enough for Ukraine. They felt like he was acting a little weak, but at the same time, they really, 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 really wanted Biden to make sure we didn't get into a war with Russia. So it was this weird, cacophony or juxtaposition or whatever of you're not doing enough, but don't do too much, right? Which is kind of what you're hearing from Biden, actually. I'm not terribly happy about it, but I think Biden is still playing this weird game of I want to do more, but I don't want to do too much and anger Putin. To me, it's coming off kind of weak. I think it is. I think they've done this too gradually, and doing it gradually in the end has not worked for them. Even just the genocide thing. First it's not genocide. Then they don't want to. Then they say, well, first they say it's not genocide a week ago. Then they said, well, our government, this is. Well, we don't like to use words. We're not going to use that word. Who knows what it is? And then Biden came out and said, I think it's genocide. And you're like, okay, good. But, the wishy-washy thing bugs me. I don't think it's effective, and I think it empowers Putin. Yes. I do think the nuclear war thing has come to it. For some crazy reason, somebody has convinced Biden, and I think it's our intelligence community, somebody has convinced Biden that Putin's going to go nuclear, that Putin's going to do something crazy if we get involved, and that even giving Poland the MiG fighter jets would be enough to make Putin lose it. Thank you, Kanowski, maybe, or Kinaussie. So, who knows? But clearly Biden is getting briefings that we don't know about. Somebody has spooked him, but I still feel like I don't buy it. I mean, again, getting to the nuclear war thing, but come on, we've got nukes too. This is just, I guess because I grew up in the nuclear age, there is no Russia and America going to bomb each other. They know if we bomb each other, it's the end of the world. I just don't see that happening. It's just ludicrous. But any case, drives me a little crazy. Maria, is this war the first big test for NATO? That's a funny whip. First big test. That's funny. It seems like they don't really know what to do, waffling back and forth with wording and support. I don't know, Candace. Boom. I'm trying to think. Well, I guess, what do you think of what else NATO did? After 9/11, obviously NATO helped. I don't know whether NATO did or didn't have a direct role in the first Iraq war. I don't know that. I doubt it. I don't think it was. I don't know, but I remember Bush had like 91 or 93 countries or whatever it is as part of the coalition of the willing. I don't know that NATO had any role after 9/11. They did. But I don't. Thank you for that, Candace. That's funny. Yeah. This certainly the generals. General Milley, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is basically our top uniformed military official in the U.S. The Pentagon is run by a civilian, Secretary of Defense, but our top uniformed military official is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley. Milley said this was the most dangerous threat to peace he has seen in his career of 42 years, which puts you back to about 1980 or so, right? Now, Cuban Missile Crisis, NATO, when was NATO founded? Was NATO founded in 1949? I'm forgetting now. Can somebody check real quick as we're saying this? But Cuban Missile Crisis was a threat to the U.S. as a NATO member. 49. That's what I thought. Yeah. So by the Cuban Missile Crisis was 1961 or so. That's already going to be NATO existing, and we're a NATO country. So I don't know about the first big test, but it seems okay. I think you're not wrong about it being the first big. So it is 49. Okay, thanks guys, appreciate it. The TikTokers are on it. It is the first big test I can think of where there's literally a threat at NATO's border, and we're getting very worried about this threat at the border. We always worried about the Soviets, but I don't know that we were worried about imminent war like this. But maybe I'm missing some blow up we had. I don't even know. I doubt Serbia. They were already kind of weak at that point. Opinions on Marine Le Pen, who is the right-wing French presidential candidate. Just so folks know, she's the one who they had the French elections, the presidential elections last weekend. The way it works in France, pretty sure this is the way it is, but if you don't get more than 50% of the vote, there's a runoff. So the top two go against each other. It was Macron, who's the current president, and Marine Le Pen, who's the far-right fascist candidate, basically got the most votes. They're now going to run against each other in a runoff that I think is in 2 weeks, or maybe now a week and a half. Macron has a healthy lead, but that healthy lead is like 10 points. Today I saw it was like 45% to 55%, which is considered a healthy lead in politics, but not when you're running against a fascist. Anyway, so that was background. So Harvey asks, I saw that. Yeah, so Marine Le Pen is proposing closer ties with Russia after the war. Is this dangerous for the future of NATO? So I had grabbed her quote. Yes, I had her quote at the end, but I'll bring it up now, Harvey, because I thought it was relevant too. So Le Monde, which is the big, many big French papers, but probably the most famous old French paper. Le Monde reports today that Le Pen, this far-right candidate, wants a rapprochement, meaning a, not cooling, but you would say become friends again, between Russia and NATO. She wants to, what did she want to do? She wants to leave NATO's military arm, I believe. France for a long time wasn't part of NATO's sort of military whatever. I don't even remember anymore kind of how NATO breaks down that way. Because even if you're not part of the military arm, NATO is a military coalition. So maybe they don't donate troops or whatever, not donate, but, participate in the NATO, whatever, patrols or peacekeeping or whatever. But she said, when the war between Russia and Ukraine will be over and settled by a peace treaty, I'll support the implementation of a strategic development between NATO and Russia. Now, that's a lousy translation of the French, but basically meaning that we need to have this, this development of a strategic relationship between NATO and Russia so we all can work together once this is over, which is, completely insane. It's such bad timing to say it right now. All right, I'm grabbing you myself. Hold on a second. Oh, I hate that. That was weird. Ooh, that was a little funky. Ooh. Somehow I've got all your, woo! That was interesting on TikTok. Not sure how I did that. Oh, shit. I just froze TikTok. I think I just froze TikTok. Tell me I didn't just freeze you guys. Swipe left to close. I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, sorry. Something weird happened on TikTok. It was very bizarre. Okay, I didn't just freeze you guys. I'm hoping. Oh, no, it says lost connection. No! It paused. Shit. Oh, that was my fault. Now we're going to lose 1,000 of the TikTokers. Sorry. That was my fault. So. I've learned not to swear with this. Son of a. It wasn't mom this time. It was not mom. Hang on, guys. Sorry about this. We have technical difficulties from time to time. It wasn't my mother. That was me this time. I apologize. I was touching the screen because we had a spammer, and I shouldn't have gone after the spammer myself. I was annoyed. But there was a spammer on TikTok, and I went to the screen to get him, and all of a sudden it changed the screen, and I was trying to bring it back. Sorry, TikTok. It happens. It wasn't my mom. Well, there was a spammer there, and I wasn't sure who was there, and I wanted to get rid of him. So I was trying to help you people. I was trying to help the TikTokers get the spammer. So there you go. Sorry, guys. So anyway, yeah, it's poor timing, first of all, in the middle of a war with Russia doing worse and worse war crimes. And now this international discussion on whether it's genocide. You've got Macron yesterday refusing today or yesterday, because France is 7 hours or so ahead of us, today or yesterday saying he doesn't want to call it genocide. And he thinks, once again, this is verbal escalation. And he wishes we wouldn't engage in verbal escalation by calling it genocide. And it's, I'm kind of like, dude, it's genocide. And you're worried about what word we give. But to some degree, like, the guy's trying to erase an entire people, and you're worried that the word we're using to describe what he's doing might make him mad. It's like, maybe you got. But at the same time, you've then got this woman, Le Pen, who's saying, well, once he's done with the genocide, once Mr. H is done in Poland, let's have a strategic relationship with him. It's just idiotic. But it's just idiotic anyway. I mean, she's done well. She obviously did well enough in the polls that she must think French voters are equivocating a bit on where they are in the war. But of course it's dangerous. Yeah. I mean, any leader of any of the Western countries who isn't on board with NATO is dangerous in my view. Yes. As we now see, let me pull up Daniel here. It's funny because during the Trump years, we were having this discussion. Trump was no great fan of NATO, but we were having this discussion about what's the purpose of NATO anymore. The Soviet Union's gone, la, la, la. And now all of a sudden, it's not even a question as to what the purpose of NATO is. I was also saying really quick, and then Daniel Neal has a question. I was saying the other day on Twitter, which is kind of interesting, but I said, it's interesting when you think about it, that an entire generation of people under the age of 40 are learning why the rest of us have never liked Russia. And I remember at some point, discussing policy or something online, and maybe, I don't even know when it was, but with somebody younger than me, and thank you for that on TikTok, somebody younger than me, and they were kind of this, they're not actually, it was probably Glenn Greenwald. I remember Glenn Greenwald once getting into a fight with people online and going, the KGB doesn't even exist anymore. And he was arguing with Malcolm Nance, who's a defense guy here in the States. And Malcolm responds to him and goes, they changed the name on the door, you moron. But it was the funniest comeback because he's like, it's not like they got rid of the secret police. They changed their name. But yeah, I think for folks under 40, it's thank you for that, Brenda. For folks under 40, it's kind of interesting as somebody over 40 for you guys to be witnessing what we witnessed growing up. And sort of just how bad Russia was and how dangerous it was. And now I will say this, then we'll move on with Daniel's question. You've got some insight into the Cold. You really do. Actually, something I ought to write about. You have some insight into the Cold War here. And you see why it was such a pitched battle between America and Russia, why the language, why we talked about Russia being an evil empire, why Reagan especially used such harsh language about Russia. You're seeing it in real time now. Why things were like that for 50 years between America and Russia, or 45 years, since World War II. Very interesting. I mean, not interesting. I'm saying interesting from a social science perspective. Obviously not interesting from a practical perspective. It's horrifying. Daniel, my buddy, if Article 5 was triggered, Article 5 of the NATO Charter is the article that says that all of us will defend each other. If any country in NATO is attacked, it is akin to an attack on every NATO country, and all the other NATO countries will come in. Thank you for the TikTok gifts. I have to read Daniel's question, though. So if Article 5 was triggered, which means a NATO member was attacked and all of NATO joins in to defend them, could Russia successfully use salami tactics to drive a wedge between some NATO members? Could some countries refuse to respond to Article 5 being triggered? I mean, they could refuse. I mean, there's a couple things here with Article 5. This was, and I love to sort of not name drop because it was sort of off the record, but I could talk about it. I was at a cocktail party, a book party, not cocktail party, sounds so snooty. It was a book party in DC, like the week or so before the war started, about a week. And there was a former NATO defense minister there. And I was asking him about Article 5. And he said, look, you've got to realize Article 5 isn't automatic. It's not like Russia attacks and instantly we're all at war. He said, you've got to, the country attacked has to, thank you for that on TikTok. The country attacked has to, has to themselves sort of invoke Article 5. NATO has to get together and debate it. They've got to then decide if they agree that Article 5 has been invoked that my guess is you'd look at the legal language of the NATO Charter, sort of the NATO treaty, and say, okay, does this count as an attack on the member? For example, remember how in Ukraine we were talking about if Putin used chemical weapons or biological weapons or even nukes, if that cloud were to float into Poland, but the attack was on Ukraine, would that be an attack on Poland? Even if he didn't intend to attack Poland, but this chemical weapon or biological or nuclear floats, when Chernobyl blew up, it hit all of Europe, right? The nuclear meltdown that the Soviet Union had, years ago, decades ago. So NATO has to decide if they were attacked. That's where you get the chance of there being a little bit of a weakness factor, right? That you could get some countries going, well, I don't know if that really counts as an attack. Also, it's a treaty obligation. I mean, the country can just say we're not going to do it. potentially, Hungary could potentially do it. I mean, they could just say, no, I know we signed the treaty. We're not doing it. Now, mind you, it means you're going to be out of NATO after that. So, it's kind of a risky thing because we are certainly currently, I believe there's 30 members of NATO. We are certainly stronger as a coalition of countries than just one, even individually. Like if Finland gets involved in the war, Finland's still going to kick Russia badly if they got involved in the war. But Finland and the rest of us, forget it. Way better, way stronger. So let me, I think there was some other Jackson Moritz. Thank you for that. Oh, there we go. Anna Ivanova Bisel. Hi, Anna. Thank you. Oh, I did see your LinkedIn last night, but I was I did see your LinkedIn last night. I don't want to get into the whole details here. The only thing that worries me is I'm being a little careful of putting Vlad in touch with people because let's face it, I don't know who you are. That's the only thing I'm being careful of is like putting people in touch with Vlad. I did do a video today, actually, for TikTok and YouTube, folks also to know, and actually, I was reminded to do it, Anna, because I saw your message. I did a video today walking through the numbers of what was spent on what for all the fundraising for the humanitarian stuff, and then for the medical kits, and well, with medical kits basically. Let me look at it again. I'll ask Vlad because I would be happy to have him in touch with your friends on the ground. No offense, I want to make sure you're not a Russian trying to find Vlad. Let it go at that. But that's my only thing. I'm being a little careful of him for that. But let me talk to him because I can forward it to him and he can vet it for himself as far as that goes. But yeah, so thank you for that. Okay, good. I see you responded. Okay, good. That was my only hesitance. I kid you not. I read it and I went, okay, she sounds for real, but only because the Russians, I'm going to get to a TikTok question now. The Russians have been so bad on TikTok. I mean, clearly the Russians do not like me on TikTok at all. That I've been a little nervous. I'm not as worried. I'm not worried at all for myself. I do worry about the Ukrainians over there. To the point where actually one of the food services that we're donating to Kharkiv we've been helping out Kharkiv because Vlad is from Kharkiv, so he's got the context, but also Kharkiv is the second largest city. It has been under constant attack. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, if any of you are new. It's the second largest city in Ukraine, 1.5 million people. It has been getting bombed nonstop by the Russians. It's really, from what I was reading, the second most bombed city after Mariupol, which is really getting destroyed. The concern now is with Russian coming in from the east and really going to start this battle in the east, whether they're going to try to take Kharkiv. The people in Kharkiv are very worried about that. Vlad's friend even told him that they were told to get enough food for the next 2 weeks because they're very worried that the Russians are going to try to occupy Kharkiv. The other concern is that they just level it, that the Russians finally do what they've done in Mariupol and some of the other cities. So anyway, long story short, but I'm sorry. I was just mentioning it because I was sharing initially some of the photos they sent, and I've got a ton of actually photos and videos now from all the food services that I'm going to try to put something together tomorrow for you guys. But initially, the folks that are making and delivering the food, like a Meals on Wheels thing in Kharkiv, they're basically making food and delivering it to people that are stuck indoors, that need help. They can't get food. And they were okay showing their faces. And I asked Vlad, I said, I'm not sure I'm comfortable showing these people's faces. First of all, the people getting the food, I wasn't sure if it was a little crass. You know what I mean? Like, here's the poor people we're helping. But the people delivering it were happy to be photographed. And I was like, you know what? And I asked Vlad, he said, you're probably right. So anyway, that's my long way of saying, I think it's all my years in politics. My gut makes me a little more careful when it comes to sort of outing people. Okay. I talked about this. I'll tell you right now anyway. So, there's two Rusty. All right, I'll answer Rusty's question really quick, and then we'll jump to the TikTok because I want to jump in on some TikTok questions. That's Masala. Sorry about that, Rusty. The card donation. So there's two card donations, Rusty. The one went through. The one we already did was like a week or two ago. We helped get a bus that ended up being less than we thought, which is good. It was about half the price of what we thought, and got a bus and got a ton of medicine. I shouldn't say we. I've been just passing the money to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians got a woman they trust. They got her a bus. They bought a ton of medicine. They went into one of the cities that has been besieged by the Russians that has been in the news. It's not Mariupol, but I'll leave it at that because she did not want people to. We know, but she didn't want publicly people to know when and what she did. went into one of the big cities, got a lot of people, brought them out to another nearby city that you've all heard of. And then she also dumped all the medicine there. And this new fundraiser, I did a soft launch last night. You can find it via my link in the profile that says Beacons. You'll see the top thing. Actually, I've got to put up Vlad's link because I'd rather have the money go to Vlad directly rather than through me. But we're doing a new fundraiser to raise money for 2 cars that will, used cars, of course, that will be used to drive a buttload, if I can say that on TikTok, of food, buy the food in Lviv, which is in the west, drive it cross country to Kharkiv, because we've got increasing concerns now about Kharkiv and food, but also even trying to ship the food there, like using trains, using the postal service. You know, now with the Russians going after airports and things, I'm concerned, and I mentioned it to Vlad, and he said, oh, we're already planning because they're worried about the roads. Getting 2 cars, bring a ton of food, and then using the cars in Kharkiv for the actual food delivery services until the war ends. So anyway, I think we're at $500 or $600, which is still fine. We want about 8,000, but I haven't promoted it yet because I was so busy today. I had a backroom sink blocking up, so I spent 2 hours with that and didn't have time to get it up. So I didn't want to do a hard push on it until I could do a video up. I've got wonderful videos from the food service showing all of their, it's just wonderful. Yeah, it's really nice. So anyway, that's coming. But again, I've also got to update it because I'd rather have the money go to Vlad directly because it's just easier. You know, I'm not taking any of the money, but I still don't like touching the money if I can help it because it's just, you know, it's easier for me not to touch it. And then clearly I'm not taking any. Thank you for that on TikTok. I'm sorry. Yes, Bree Greer. Now I understand where the bad guy. Oh, that is funny. You said that. Yeah. This is really funny. Bree Greer, I'm going to guess, I can't tell from your photo, but I'm right. You're under 40. Are you in your 20s, maybe 30s? She says, now I understand why the bad guys from Rocky and Bullwinkle were Russian spies. Never understood how the Russians were the bad guys. There is this wonderful cartoon we had growing up called Rocky and Bullwinkle. And it's a small squirrel that flies. Thank you for that on TikTok. It's a small flying squirrel, and he's got like the little aviator glasses. And his buddy, who's a moose, and the moose is like, you know, huge. I mean, like, wait, the moose is super tall. The squirrel flies and like sits on his shoulder. And this is crazy. The arch villains of the show are Soviet spies called Boris and Natasha. And they're always talking on the show about, you know, we have big trouble for moose and squirrel. And it's how we have big trouble for moose and squirrel because they don't say for the moose and the squirrel because Russians drop the. So we cause big trouble for moose and squirrel. And it's my generation, at least, moose and squirrel. I still use it in the comments sometimes just to throw off the Russian trolls because I'm figuring they have no idea what I'm talking about. So when they say something really obvious that makes it clear they're a Russian troll, I just respond, moose and squirrel. Because I know at least half the Americans are getting it. The Russians are going, wait, what is this moose and squirrel? But yeah, isn't that funny? I never even thought of that, Bree, for your generation. I did tell the Russians about it once. They were kind of shocked when we were after the Soviet Union dissolved and I was in Kamchatka. We were telling friends about Rocky and Bullwinkle, and they were Russians. They were kind of upset about it. I was like, well, it was the 1960s. You know, people didn't like you then, but now you're okay. But yes, Rocky. But it's also a brilliantly written show as well. I mean, brilliantly written. Oh, it says in your question, oh, you're 33. I didn't even read your last line. I'm guessing your age. Somebody else mentioned it's in your thing. That's really funny. Well, no, because I saw Rocky and Bullwinkle, and I just laughed and started talking about it without saying your age. Yeah, that's really funny. I'm goofy that way. 33, that's funny. All right, guys, TikTok question. Excuse me, TikTokers. Didn't mean to ignore you guys. We don't know. Phil Simpson is asking, did Ukraine hit a Russian ship? As of an hour ago, right before I got on, Zelensky's office, the president, said that they hit a Russian ship. Some local government official in the south on the Black Sea, where it would have happened, said they hit a Russian ship. The Russian ship itself is a huge Russian ship called the Moskva, which means Moscow in Russian. It's the flagship, meaning the number one ship of their entire fleet down there. It's by far the most powerful ship of any of the ships. The Ukrainians are saying they hit it and it's on fire. We don't know. I was reading an article in Forbes, and it was actually a very good article. The guy, their defense guy, knows what he's doing. He was saying that the Ukrainians have claimed a number of ships that they hit, and in the end, they didn't. There was one they did, but that Russia confirmed it? Really? Ooh, somebody just said Russia confirmed it. If true, that's great. Wow. Fearless leader for business management. Yeah, state media has admitted there was a fire. Ooh, nice. Exactly. Someone's doing the party favors blowing off. I'm curious whether the articles are showing any kind of it was built in a Ukrainian shipyard. That's probably the ship. What was it, Sevastopol or whatever the shipyard is the Russians wanted to steal. Supposedly it was a cruise missile, a Neptune. I had to Google because it said a Neptune, and I Googled it. It's an anti-ship cruise missile, which I wasn't totally aware we had those, or they had those. But yeah, it was a cruise. Well, they're claiming it was a cruise missile. They're saying that the Russians have confirmed that the Moskva, their flagship in the Black Sea, is on fire. Oh boy, really? They intercepted Morse code? Well, I saw somebody on Twitter, because I follow a lot of defense people on Twitter. I saw somebody on Twitter talking about the Morse code, but I thought it was a joke. Wow, that's what, yeah, it's a Russian ship. It is the most powerful Russian ship in the Black Sea, which is, thank you for that, human, which is that that water mass south of Ukraine where their ports are, right? It's the most powerful ship they've got there, and it's their flagship, meaning their most proud ship, the Moskva, the Moscow, right? What other ship would you call Moscow? Reuters just confirmed. Can I ask real quick, what is, somebody's saying Reuters, they're saying the ammunition blew up. Any impact? Are they saying how badly the ship is damaged or anything? I'm curious. How fun! Our like real-time news here. It was a special military operation. Lori Keane says exactly. They're saying ammunition blew up, but the question now the Russians apparently have a horrific history with ammunition, that things blow up all the time. The question is, the fire blew up ammunition. Why was there a fire? I mean, we just don't know. They sunk their battleship, hopefully. That the crew had to abandon ship? Woo! Wow. Okay, but again, it'll be interesting to see how much. Well, first of all, more important to me is how damaged it is. I hope it's, if it's really damaged, that's great for the Ukrainians. If the Ukrainians caused it at all, that's great. What I mean is, because for Ukrainian morale, it's amazing. For Russian morale, it's awful, because now all these Russian sailors that thought they were safe, because at least, all those guys on the ground are getting killed by the Ukrainians, but I'm on my boat, Kinossi, thank you for that. I'm on my boat, so I'm safe. Now they're not safe either. And it all of a sudden makes them think I'm on a floating tin can that the Ukrainians actually can hit. Thank you for that. So very interesting. Yeah, I know their real-time news collaboration from YouTube friends and our TikTok friends. The crew's been evacuated. It blamed the blast on a fire and said the cause was being investigated. I mean, this is like those fires going on in what is it? Belograd. That town that's right across the border from Kharkiv, right? Thank you for that. I'm actually kind of excited. It's like this kind of news. It's very when you do this stuff for a living, this kind of news gets you going. I always say this about tornadoes too. It's like, it's weird working in areas like politics. And again, I'm assuming it's the same thing for people that are into weather forecasts, because I love weather. I'm always fascinated by weather. And being from the Midwest, tornadoes fascinate me. I don't like being in one. It's kind of scary. I've been in several. Nothing happened to me, but we were very close to a really bad one in 1968 in Chicago that killed a lot of people. And we were a mile away in our basement, like very scary. But bad weather is exciting if you're into weather. And unfortunately, if you're into politics, international bad stuff, it's when you're on, even though you don't like it. It's very weird, that sort of like I said, the mix of the two. Harvey says, my buddy Harvey in the UK, the New York Times reported Medvedchuk, close Putin ally, is supposedly being questioned on interference in elections. If direct evidence of this was to come to light, how would it affect U.S. policy towards Ukraine conflict as a whole? I don't know that the U.S. can. How do I know? We'd be questioned on Russian interference. He's being questioned on Russian interference in U.S. election. We've got this larger problem. Yeah, we'll definitely do a warship update. If anybody, as we go on, if there's more updates on the warship, let us know. We're happy to jump in again on that one. But yeah, and tech I'm fascinated by as well. Yeah, Alex. We've got a weird. Yeah, that was the Oaklawn tornado, April 21st. Yep, I'm assuming that's the Oaklawn tornado. Yeah, south side of Chicago. Scary. hit like, oh my God, this tornado that I was in, but we were a mile away. We were safe. It came to the big, like 95th Street. It came to the big intersection and picked up and threw like dozens of cars. It just killed people, but they were all stopped at a light at the intersection. The tornado just dropped down through. It was horrific, scary thing, tornadoes. In any case, Harvey, you know, the thing is, the U.S., and I just don't understand what's going on with us, the U.S. really dropped the ball on the Russian election interference. You know, we responded, we did sanctions, whatever we did. They tried to basically overthrow our government, and we treated it like, you know, and I almost see part of what happened with Ukraine being part of this whole thing. I don't know what it is, but let's face it. I mean, I don't think Obama was strong enough. Trump certainly wasn't strong enough. And again, this is where I'm not going to pick sides, but BS on anybody who says either of them was strong on Russia. Biden let too many red lines go. Not Biden. Obama let too many red lines go, and I really like Obama. Trump, I'm not a fan of, but Trump finally was forced to do harder stuff to Russia. He was. But let's face it. You know, I mean, let's face it. Come on. I mean, we don't have to get political here, but come on. There's a special relationship between Trump and Putin, and you know, and with the election, it didn't matter who was in power. We should have come down. I mean, Obama knew too, but even with Obama, I mean, it's not just Trump. Obama knew about the election stuff before the election, and he was afraid of upsetting the election by going public about it. He should have freaking just gone public and told everybody the Russians were trying to steal the election. Anyway, really pisses me off. So I am not convinced that finding out new information from Medvedchuk is going to change anything with U.S. policy, because we just seem to let the Russians do whatever they want in terms of you know, interference in our elections or anything else. It's crazy. All right, Q&A, TikTok. Do you want to see? Yeah, definitely keep the updates on that ship. I want to know if it goes down and if they confirm that the Russians hit it, or the Ukrainians hit it. The UN will never remove Russia. No, I don't see that happening, because the whole point, and I mean, I would kind of agree with that. The whole point of the United Nations is to have the nations of the world come together, even in spite of their differences, right? So I would probably agree they don't get kicked out of the UN. They certainly shouldn't be on the Security Council, but they're never going to get kicked out of that either. But, you know, that's a whole other thing. Oh, Jesus. I'm already forgetting a few little things here. So the EU is providing aid. Sorry, I had a few little things, couple other little things on my list. The European Union is providing $540 million in aid to Ukraine. France is sending more aid as well. So even though we're kind of dishing on France a little bit, they are sending more aid. The United Kingdom sanctioned additional Russians, and Switzerland adopted the latest round of EU sanctions. So that's good too. Yay for Switzerland. This one's my favorite though. New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, froze $7 billion with a B. $7 billion in assets believed to be connected to Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich. Now, Abramovich is that oligarch who's Israeli, Russian. Ooh, it may have frozen again. I saw that. That was not mom again. Let's see. I just want to make sure it didn't freeze. Oh, it wasn't mom, but it happened again. It said my connection died, but my connection didn't die. Ugh. All right. I'm coming back, TikTok. Jeez, how annoying. Who knows what causes this thing to do this? Sorry, YouTube. I didn't even, you are God is my witness. I wasn't even near my phone when that happened. It dropped the TikTok connection again. Does this just happen to me, or does it happen to other people on TikTok when they're doing lives? Do the connections disappear? Is it not reliable? Yeah. Wasn't me this time. My hands were here. I did nothing. Maybe it was moose and squirrel this time. I don't know. I did nothing. It just kind of, I got a notice at the top of my TikTok saying the connection was bad, and I went, oh no. Wasn't me. You can call me the Moskva today. I'm on fire, and this broadcast is on fire and sinking. Oh, excellent. So I'm going to say Royshin. I never will get your name right. You know this. This is going to be our relationship will go on for years now, and I'll never get your name right. Maritime executive reports that Russia said the ship has sustained serious damage from an explosion. Woo! Nice. Yeah, the story was that it was a Neptune missile. Now, mind you, somebody on Zelensky's staff said they hit it. Roshin? Oh, okay. Well, that kind of makes sense because, just from the other Irish names I've seen, I was thinking it was a sh. Roshan. Okay, then Roshan. That's not. I would have said Roshan, thinking the ROI, but Roshan. Okay, that's not so hard. O'Neill. I'm going to guess that's O'Neill, and then oh God, Merku. It's probably Murphy or something. What is Merku? It's probably not Merku though. I'm guessing. Sorry. Anybody else who only because I pride myself on languages, but Irish is just, it's worse than French. It's nothing that you see on the screen. Can you translate? Anyway, I'm back, guys. Sorry. Welcome, TikTokers. John Erebos is here, Washington, D.C. I was finishing my update on what's going on in the news in Ukraine. We sort of went on a little bit of a tangent here because a Russian ship is sinking, or is at least on fire. It caught fire. Some munitions blew up. A big Russian ship in the Black Sea, which is right south of Ukraine. The Ukrainians, no, it did not lose me again. Stop it. Stop it. Don't say that. You're behind it. Don't say that. Sorry. But, well, what is confirmed so far, people have been doing real-time searches as we're talking. What is confirmed so far, okay, the Ukrainians are saying they hit it with a Neptune missile, which is an anti-ship ballistic missile. Thank you. Okay, I can see you guys. Thank you. What the news is saying is the Russians are admitting there was a fire on the ship. It looks like the fire ignited munitions on the ship, like ammunition. The crew was removed for their safety. The ship is badly damaged and burning. But did the Ukrainians did it? Did somebody else do it? Exactly. The Irish names are a deliberate attempt. It's like changing the street signs or something so nobody knows how to get to your house. Right, to protect your name because your name, it's name magic in Ireland. So that's the deal with this. Yeah, so it's very interesting. This ship, kind of hard to believe. I mean, hell of a coincidence. If the Ukrainians did this, I think that's a big deal. Yeah, the Odessa Journal is reporting 2 out of 2 Neptune missiles hit the ship 3 hours ago. It was reported. Wow. Yeah, TikTok always lags a little bit. We know that. Wow. You've toured that ship. Get out of here. Really? Vanilla? For real? Wow. Привет, Ukraini. Привет or Привit. I think you guys, I learned Russian, so I'd say Привет. I'd say Здравствуйте, but I know you guys, I'm trying not to use, I know a very little Russian, but that's all I know. I don't know Ukrainian. But around the Ukrainians, I now feel bad using the limited Russian I have. I think I told you the other day, I went on Duolingo and started looking at Ukrainian on Duolingo, which is a wonderful app for languages. Oh, let me see. Daiche Tanki. Oh, that's cute. Daiche Tanki is Tanki is a tank. Javelini. Okay, that's way over my head. That's a privet. I was going to say privet. You guys hear privet. Again, I say privet from Russia. But anyway, Duolingo, if you ever want to learn languages, fabulous app. It's free. Just throwing this out there. I've used it to keep up on a number of my languages. And just the other day for fun, I used it to start picking up Ukrainian. I mean, I know some Russian, but I was debating whether to do Ukrainian or Russian. It's got both. It's wonderful. I love that thing. It's a wonderful app. But yep, Slava Ukraini. So the news. I was finishing up the news. So Jersey. I'm sorry. So New Jersey froze $7 billion of a Russian oligarch, big corrupt Russian businessman's money. They think it's his money. And I just love that it was New Jersey. I just freaking love that, like a U.S. state. And Jersey, because people sometimes make fun of New Jersey in America, which isn't fair. But that was pretty cool. The Russians now are threatening to hit government buildings in Kyiv, the capital, if the Ukrainians keep hitting targets inside Russia. And they're upset because I forget what else happened. I mean, we know that they hit a train overpass the other day. And this was a key overpass for trains coming from Kharkiv, the second largest city from the northeast from Russia coming in to the east. So it's going to bring in a lot of the supplies they need for this new war that's coming in the east. But the Russians are now threatening them and saying, if you keep coming to our territory and blowing things up, we're going to blow up your government buildings. Mind you, Russia's got 160,000, well, now fewer because, 160,000 men in Ukraine blowing things up. But if you literally blow up like one oil refinery or one train track in Russia, then we're going to blow up all your government buildings. I almost feel like something else is going on because why hasn't Russia done it already anyway? I find it very strange that Russia has not hit the Ukrainian government buildings in Kyiv. It's weird. Yeah. They're not doing it in Kiev. No, not in Kyiv, the capital. No, they're hitting things outside of the capital. They have not gone after the main, and with the cruise missile, they could easily hit, the government buildings. I mean, those things are pretty exact. Something's going on, but it's a little weird. So when I see them threatening it, I don't want them to do it, but there's a part of me going, wouldn't you already be doing this if you could do it? A little weird. Finland and Sweden. It's funny, we got into so many other discussions that I actually had little bits of news we hadn't talked about. So Finland and Sweden, there's no real news there other than they're getting closer to joining NATO. Finland, I would say more so than in terms of reading the tea leaves. What was interesting today is the Finnish and Swedish presidents, both women, by the way, met in, I'm not sure if they were in Stockholm, if they were in Finland. They might have been in Finland, but either way, they got together and met. They did a press conference in English, which was very interesting because basically the point of the press conference was to tell the world. Clearly, they wanted the world to get the message, the English-speaking world. And it was more so than their people. And Finland, I think, they just published a security report about NATO membership that sounded awfully favorable for what I was reading. Sweden, I don't know about as favorable, but both countries said they want to decide in a matter of weeks whether they're going to join NATO or not. They want to reach that decision. When I say join, they would apply, but it's assumed, NATO's made clear we'd love to have you guys. Finland, it said the parliament is going to start debating the issue shortly. It'll take several weeks to debate and then vote. Possibly there's a NATO meeting or something taking place in June, and possibly Finland could be ready to apply in June, which is pretty wild. And Sweden, who knows? But both countries have been shocked by what did I write? I wrote a little note. Basically what they were saying on the news was the Russian invasion of Ukraine changed the equation for both countries. Basically meaning, neither of them feel safe now. And they're also watching what's happening with Ukraine where we're helping, but we're not helping because they're not a member of NATO. So in other words, we might give them weapons, but we're not going to get involved in the war if they take Sweden, if they take Finland or try to take it. And at the same time, Russia attacking Ukraine has opened not just Finland's and Sweden's eyes, but all of our eyes as to the renewed threat from Russia that we were hoping wasn't really there. That Russia has become the Soviet Union again. I mean, I think, unfortunately, and they become that level of a threat. Their military isn't as good as the Soviet military, thank God, but they've still got nuclear weapons, but at least the military isn't as good. But nonetheless, so that's good. The U.S. is sending 800. Oh, this is what I was going to tell you. So because somebody had raised the question or talked earlier about president's meeting and this kind of stuff. And I mentioned, so the U.S. is sending an additional $800 million in aid. It includes attack helicopters, howitzers, 300 switchblades. That's good. The switchblades are the kamikaze drones. So they're the drones that have a small explosive in them or a large explosive, depending on the drone, and you use it for crashing into things and blowing up. And those very, very useful. They're only one time because they're kamikaze. So literally they hit, they blow up, and you can't use it again. We were originally giving Ukraine 100. Now we're giving them 300 more. That's good because 100 isn't enough. 400 starting to get interesting. What is interesting is the attack helicopters were not on the list as of last night. They're called their Mi-17 attack helicopters. They were not on the list last night of what the U.S. was going to give. Zelensky talked to Biden today by phone and changed Biden's mind. That in talking to Biden, he got Biden to agree to add the helicopters. That is what is important about establishing relationships in international relations, why it's important for these presidents and these prime ministers to meet with Zelensky and for him to meet with them. I mean, as I was saying, now, we don't know the whole story, but if you want to be a little more crass, thank you for that. Sorry, I haven't been giving our thanks on TikTok for the gifts. Thank you for that. It is possible that the White House knew last night that they were going to include the helicopters, but they didn't include it in the initial thing they floated because they wanted something. Hello, Dublin. Thanks for joining us. They wanted something that they could brag about, and not even brag. They wanted something to say, as a result of this meeting with Biden and Zelensky by phone or by Zoom or whatever, or by, Cisco, whatever, we have agreed to provide these helicopters. So it sounds like the meeting accomplished something, which frankly looks good for Biden. It also frankly makes Zelensky look even better because it looks like just that. Zelensky was able to get something more from Biden. So who knows? The relationship might have helped, or it was planned last night, but either way, good news. They need more. They need more. I've been really curious. Like James Glidden just weighed in and said that real quick, Lori's asking about how quickly can the weapons get there. That's one of the questions. Apparently, the helicopters are tricky. I am not an expert on transporting weapons, but the helicopters were one of the. They said that's kind of tricky, trying to figure out how they're going to get there. Don't know about the other ones, how quickly. I know the initial kamikaze drones we promised just started arriving in the last couple of days. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about. Sorry, Jim, I just put it up here. James Glidden just said on TikTok, howitzers, which are the artillery, are highly accurate artillery. And I've been meaning to Google this because it seems so weird, like to a layman, thinking like, this big artillery gun, how you're able to fight it and have it go, I'm guessing it can go miles, right? And to be accurate, like you'd think trying to hit like a tank or something, like maybe you could hit a building, but how you could hit a tank or something. I mean, they're that accurate over that kind of a distance? Anyway, just curious for when YouTube catches up. Okay, let me go here. I'm going to go and pull up another TikTok question, but also if anybody sees any update on that Russian ship, we'd love to know more. Big honking Russian ship in the Black Sea kind of blew up, on fire, ammunition blew up, crew had to be removed. It's their flagship in the Black Sea, so like it's their big ship. So really embarrassing. Yep, I did see that Biden had the meeting with the military guys. All right, we'll pull up another. We'll pull up another on you guys. So, well, a couple things here. So, Inagapo, I guess. I was going to say Inagapo. What happens to Mariupol if it's captured? So, howitzers are 3 miles, though, but how exact are they? Hugely accurate at distances well over 20 miles. Some people say 3 miles, but hugely accurate. That's crazy. Okay, so I'm sorry. You know what? Real quick on this, but we're going back to the ship again. So the Times of London is saying the ship was hit twice. Wow. That's amazing. That would be amazing if it was the ship that hit Snake Island. Wow. Yeah, so folks, we're talking about this Russian ship that apparently was hit by 2 Ukrainian Neptune missiles, which are cruise missiles for going after ships. And up until now, the Russians have been, kind of getting away with murder with their ships. They've been throwing, bombs, missiles, or whatever, artillery shells into Odessa. I think they were bombing Mariupol and some of the other cities. And there wasn't much news of the Ukraine. There was that one ship, remember? I'm forgetting what it was called, but the one ship like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that was in port in the south, and it really caught on fire because the other ships were trying to get away from it. And we think it could have been special operations. We're not sure of the Ukrainians or a friendly force. Who knows? But otherwise, the Russians have been kind of getting away with murder with their ships. So the idea that the Ukrainians were, and this is the Russian flagship. Thank you. Is it Kukraken? I can never read the names. Thank you. I did say it. The fact that the Ukrainians hit the flagship. This is the ship of the Russian Navy in the Baltic, in the Black Sea, in the Black Sea. I mean, it's the ship. It is their most powerful ship. It is the ship they're most proud of. It's called Moskva because it's named after Moscow. Thank you for that, Dennis and Shane. I think, so it's even named after Moscow. We're very. I mean, the only thing better would have been if it was the Putin. That would have been better. The Putina. Oh my God, that's amazing that the ship. Yeah, well, there was the other ship, right? That was the big ship. What do you call it? Transport ship, I want to say, because it was really big and it was in that port. I can't remember which town. It wasn't Mariupol. Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, if Mariupol's captured, your question can go 2 ways. So it was asking what happens if Mariupol is captured. Just to refresh, folks. So Mariupol is this town southeastern Ukraine on the sea, by the way, since we're talking about the Black Sea. Why it matters is you've got Crimea, which is this peninsula sticking south into the Black Sea, south of Ukraine. The Russians stole that in 2014, okay? Odessa is like a little to the west. So Crimea sticking to the Black Sea. You've got eastern Ukraine where the Russians are fighting right now. And for 8 years, they've been trying to basically steal. They've been, paying rebels to cause trouble, all sorts of stuff. They've been trying to steal it, and now they're really trying to steal it. Well, they would like nothing better than to connect the two, to own both Crimea and Eastern Ukraine, but then to connect them by land so they can actually reinforce each other, etc. Well, along this land bridge, so to speak, is the town of Mariupol. That's why Mariupol is so important. Now, what happens afterward, there's what happens. I mean, the town, I didn't even read this, but I had it in my notes. 90% of Mariupol is destroyed. 40% of it is destroyed permanently, meaning there's no coming back. There are buildings that are destroyed that they can rebuild, but 40% apparently is just wasteland that's going to have to be removed and start from scratch. So 40% of the city is just gone. It's not even just wasted, gone. Horrific, right? The bigger concern, that's obviously the humanitarian concern is huge, but the bigger concern is all those Russian troops that for 6 weeks have been bogged down fighting in Mariupol in southern Ukraine, southeastern Ukraine. If they take Mariupol, they can then leave and go. Remember I was saying you got the East and Crimea? Well, if you're here, more or less, thank you for that on TikTok, Ellie. If you're here and you win Mariupol, now these troops can go up and start fighting. Well, now they can start helping in the East. And at the same time, the Russians are coming from Russia this way, these guys can start coming from the Southwest. So they can form like a pincer action, like a squeezing action on the Ukrainian troops from two fronts. That's really bad. It's way more troops and way more dangerous for the Ukrainians, troops that are already fighting in the East. So that's the other side of what happens if Mariupol is captured. But the town, they're going to force whoever's there to either leave or they're going to force them to become Russians. The towns they've taken over, they're forcing people to speak Russian. They're forcing the school curriculum to become Russian. In one town, they arrested all the teachers and the school administrators, or a bunch of them, because they ordered the teachers to speak Russian to the kids in school. And the teachers were like, we're not going to do that in school. So, really it's about genocide. It is about destroying this poor country. Let me see. Did I have anything else? I don't think I had anything else we were jumping back and forth between the news and the questions. So I kind of liked it that way because we got into a lot of the questions and then I realized it was a news story or two. Let's do a few more questions, guys, and then we will call it quits on the mods are always a little jumpy, but the mods need to be jumpy. I have been moderating online forums since the year 2000, and it is not fun. Because first you get a slew of bad guys coming in and you're like, block, 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 block. Then you got to figure out who's a bad guy and who's just having a bad day, which is very hard to tell. And I've done it myself in TikTok and some other places where I'll block people thinking, like if Twitter especially, a lot of nasty people come in and all of a sudden a nice person comes in, but you think they're one of the nasty people and you ban them. So it's very hard. It's very hard moderating. So I have a lot of sympathy for them, a lot of sympathy and empathy and respect for the moderators. James Glidden, getting back to us on the artillery. So the howitzer can use non-guided munitions for a range of 18 miles or guided munitions for 25 miles. Accurate within 30 feet. My God. Okay. Well, so then it also is going to depend on, they're saying for artillery. So then it's going to depend on, I guess, how small of a target you're hitting, because a tank, 30 feet away from a tank, I guess it depends how much the artillery shell, well, if the tank's in the open and how much damage an artillery shell causes. Like an artillery shell 30 feet from a tank, is that going to cause damage to the tank, or is 30 feet away too far to cause much damage to a tank? Just curious. More on the explosion. Reuters reporting Russia claims an ammunition explosion not related to Ukraine. Of course it does. Russia says, mind you, okay, this sort of shows you how messed up things are. Russia's best argument it can put out there about its own ship getting blown up is Ukraine didn't do it. We were so stupid we did it to ourselves. That's how bad things are in this war for Russia right now, that Russia's best argument it could make is we're blithering idiots. We didn't just blow up our own ship. We blew up our flagship. So I think Russia's lying. I think this is one hell of a coincidence. One hell of a coincidence that this Russian flagship just blew up in the sea south of Ukraine. Fabulous news. Fabulous news. And again, like I was saying, it hurts Russian morale. It helps Ukrainian morale because the Ukrainians, are going, yeah. And for the Russian troops, anybody who's working on a boat, and I'd be terrified if I were one of the boat folks, one of the Russian Navy people, I'd be like, oh my God, they're not only able to blow up our ships, but they blew up the biggest, most important ship. Oh, okay. Malcolm had what? Malcontent. Oh, you said Malcolm. I'm thinking Malcolm Nance. Okay. Yeah, I've seen his TikTok. I don't know the guy, so I don't know him well enough to sort of trust his stuff. You know what I mean? I've seen him. But I tip, for me at least, I rely on actual news outlets and other experts. I just don't trust looking. Obviously you got to decide yourself because you're trusting my TikTok, but I've always, he may be good. I don't know him. I just don't know him. But you pretty much with TikTok, like anything on social media, you have to kind of get to know people and see. Malcolm Nance, that's what I thought you meant, Malcolm Nance, who is a friend of mine, actually. Malcolm's fabulous. But you almost have to get to know the people you're dealing with and see if they're right a lot. And if they're right a lot, then you can start trusting them, but otherwise, it's kind of hard. You just want to be careful. But yeah, Malcolm's great. But what else? Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is kind of interesting. People are asking on TikTok about Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is kind of fascinating. If you go to a map of Europe, and again, I guarantee you, some of you are not going to know this. I was telling my nephew this, and he was like, get out of here. He's like in his 30s. He had no idea. Go to a map of Europe, find Poland, all right? And, Germany, Poland. And if you look north of Poland, you'll see, east of Poland, you got Ukraine, right? North of Ukraine, you got Belarus, Poland, Lithuania. And you've got the sea there, which I'll never remember the name of the sea, but it's the sea that Sweden's on. And you go further up and you go around and you hit St. Petersburg, Russia, right? So it's that sea there with Sweden and all those guys. Well, if you look very carefully at Poland and you go and follow the coast where Poland is, follow the coast. And before you get to Lithuania, you're going to hit this little piece of land called Kaliningrad. And I never know if the oblast is called Kaliningrad, I think an oblast is kind of like a state. I always forget for Russia, or if an oblast is a municipality, like a city, like a county. In any case, they call them oblasts. But I think the oblast might be Kaliningrad, but the city's called Kaliningrad as well. Now, I did not know the history of it, though. I believe it's Poland or Germany that was stolen after World War II, because Russia, as we know, loved to steal land after World War II. Remember? They basically stole all of Eastern Europe and then went after land in Poland, too. But yeah, Kaliningrad, very annoying that they've got that little bit of land there. Very annoying. I agree. Oh, nice. Okay. No, that's good. If Malcontent does all of that, that's good. Good for them. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check them out then. I just didn't know. Somebody mentioned them the other day, and that's the first time I even saw them. So I just didn't know. Thank you. Okay. I'll check them out. Would Biden going to Ukraine? I'm sorry. So Seashell asked, would Biden going to Ukraine help or hurt? Also, will we give... We will give helicopters, but not planes. What's the difference? Darn good question. On the first one, Biden should go. I think Biden should go. Yeah, he absolutely should. Hold on, I'm getting warmer. Okay. Hey, Google, lower the temperature 1 degree. Sorry, it's getting a little warm in here. Biden should go.
Cooling the living room down.
There we go. But I never thought that was useful until I got it. Now I love the thing. I mean, like my Nest thermostat. I was like, who wants to talk to their thermostat? Right now, my phone is blocked with TikTok, so I can't get to my temperature thing. I don't want to get up. Anyway, love these things. So Star Trek. So yeah, I think Biden should go. You've now got, Boris Johnson went. You've got, President Poland's been there a few times. I mean, President Poland's doing reruns now. He's been there twice. The Baltic states went there today. I think it looks bad. Czech Republic and Slovakia as well. I'm trying to think who went with the Polish president the first time. Biden should have. It was a huge mistake. Biden didn't go, I think, when he was in Poland. He should have at least gone across the border. And frankly, I would have said, let the Russians. If I were president, I would have gone, let the Russians hit me. Tell them we're going. And if the Russians want World War III, let the Russians hit me. If I were Biden, that's what I would have said. But of course he should go. Biden should be in Kyiv. Like everybody else going now. If anything, it just looks bad, but I don't know, whatever. Yes, they should. Also, great question. Why can we give attack helicopters, but we can't give MiG fighter jets to Ukraine? Good question. I don't know. There's two things. One is, it is true that the U.S. is concerned that Ukraine won't be able to take care of the planes. It takes a lot to upkeep these fighter jets. For example, I heard that the U.S., like the F-16s we use, meaning the ones we've got ourselves, at any one point in time, only half of them are working because the other half are being repaired and whatever one does to keep the plane going. So it's actually quite interesting. Like it's hard to upkeep them. So the U.S. is first of all worried, can Ukraine really keep up not the F-16s, but the MiGs that we give them? Now, Ukraine says, look, we've already got some MiGs. We know what we're doing. Stop it. We wouldn't be asking for them if we couldn't use them, right? The second thing is, Biden has been hooked on this concept that if we provide these planes, it's escalation and Russia could go, nuclear, Russia could attack America or Poland or whatever. All I can figure out there is, I have a suspicion, maybe we'll find out someday. I think the Russians did like a back channel communication where basically they call somebody privately and they say, we are going to, if you give Ukraine those MiG fighter jets, we are going to attack Poland. We're going to bomb Poland's air bases. to try to hit the planes. And we're telling you right now, we're going to do it. It's going to be your fault. And the U.S. or whoever got scared and said, okay, don't do it. And we should have said, forget you, F you. Seriously, we just should have said, no, you know what? You can provide weapons to everybody you want. We can provide weapons to everybody we want. We're not engaging in war with you. If you shoot Poland, then we're all at war, and that's your choice. But you don't respond to Putin by going, I'm scared, which is what we did. And there is no difference. No, the attack helicopters cause damage. The planes cause damage. It's ridiculous. So that's at least what's underlying your question. And then, yes, tribal flute. I will check out Malcontent very well. We've gone long today. All right, I'm doing one more TikTok question because it's been a while. And then we're going to hang and talk just about fun stuff because it's been an hour and 20 minutes. So at some point, I got to stop. My dog is wandering too, so there's always a chance. The Kharkiv ATM. Yeah, I don't know if there's any update on the Kharkiv ATM. That's funny. I don't know. Nick Pereira, why has NATO done nothing about Russian war crimes? They're scared. I mean, they're scared. Now, it is true. Russia has nuclear weapons, so you've got to be careful. But I think we've convinced Russia, we've let Russia psych us out. I think from the beginning, we should have said, once we started seeing that Ukraine actually had a chance, we should have said, we're giving them everything they can. I mean, we're not giving them nuclear weapons, obviously, but we're giving them everything they can take, everything they can use. Just open the floodgates. Let's do it, especially now, because now it's not just a matter of Ukraine needs to win. It's a matter of Russia needs to lose. Russia has got to lose this war. Otherwise Russia's going to be, they're already making noise about Moldova now, which is a country just-ish, Ukraine, Southwest Ukraine. I'm relearning my Eastern European geography here, but Southwestern Ukraine, Russia already is occupying part of it. And the Russians are making the same noise about Moldova as they were making about Ukraine. They're talking about Nazis being there. Nazis. And we know Nazis are because that's what they say when they want to take over the country, to stop them. So very messed up. And they're threatening Finland. I mean, and again, Finland would kick their butt. From everything I'm hearing, they couldn't handle Finland right now. I mean, no offense to Ukraine, but Ukraine's kicking their butt. They think they're going to take on Finland too? Please. There's just no way. There's no way. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. I will hang, though. We usually do hang. And thank you, Lindsay. If there's any last super stickers, throw them in. I will answer those. Otherwise, let's just hang and chat. Debbie, thank you for that too. Thank you for the ducks. I always appreciate the TikTok stuff. I'm happy to keep getting those. And we just hang and talk for about 10, 20 minutes about anything else that isn't. Although I will say, anybody who's got more news about that boat blowing up, I would like to hear about that. That I will give special dispensation and break my rule, because at some point we got to stop talking politics, because then I kind of chill out and try to relax a little bit before bed. And yeah, thank you. But I will hang out. I mean, so I was always telling, because the TikTok folks, because the YouTube folks know it, but sometimes I think the TikTok folks may jumble. We usually get like 1,000 people or more who just kind of hang with afterwards like this. I go to Chicago on Sunday. My friend Damien is going to watch my apartment. So don't no Russians come and try to steal my apartment. Oh, thank you, James. I'm reading this, but I'm also, oh, that's cute. You changed your schedule. Thank you. I know. Well, but I'm thinking of doing, we've talked about this before. I'm thinking of doing kind of a news thing maybe once this is over. I don't know if I want to do every day, but it's hard to say. I mean, because it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It matters. It's also the first time in years that I felt like I've always enjoyed doing things with the internet and politics and stuff that I felt mattered. And this is the first time in a while that I felt like I'm working on something that matters. You know what I mean? And even though it's kind of us, the hair looks fab today. This hair is getting cut next week. I already made my appointment in Chicago. It's just too much of it. Again, it's looking okay today because I made the appointment next week. It's just getting on my nerves now. You know what it is too? I've always had my hair back, so I'm not used to like this touching my forehead. It's really weird. It's just annoying. It's like somebody Chinese water torture you on your forehead. It's very annoying. And thank you for the ducks and stuff on TikTok. But anyway, yeah, so we just hang and chat about everything else now. So except that I don't mind updates about the boat. I am happy for that. People ask for a recap on TikTok if you're willing, John. A recap of what? Just a recap of what we talked about today? We talked about everything today. I don't even know. A recap. Oh, that's true. I guess, that I never thought about it that way. That's not a terrible idea. I can do it quick because, it is true. Like TikTok, you guys join late. Let me see let me see if I can get these in order. Let me see. It's funny. I sort of take these, and then when I'm done, I sort of throw them away Jon Stewart style. Let me see if I can do a quick summary, because, of course, I don't want to do the news again. So the quick summary. The Russians are continuing to move troops into the east of Ukraine, getting ready for a huge war comparable to World War II style war. Massive numbers of tanks, massive numbers of equipment, big open fields, lots of death and destruction, very bad. Could happen in the next few days, could happen in the next few weeks. Leaders of Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia went to Kyiv today. As we've been talking about, the flagship of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea either was hit by 2 Ukrainian missiles, cruise missiles, or magically on its own blew up a couple hours ago. Huge news, because it's a hugely important ship. The Chinese tech giant Huawei is suspending some of its operations in Russia. Huge news because of China's connection with Russia, of course. Thank you for that. For the friendship they've got, and that Huawei wouldn't do this unless China had signed off, the government. So that's huge. The Russians are threatening to hit government offices in Kyiv if the Ukrainians keep hitting the inside Russia. Mariupol still a disaster. No news there other than some troops, 1,000 Ukrainian troops have surrendered. The other Ukrainian troops have been able to group 2 groups together, which is nice. Which at least it makes them a little more effective. Oh, I didn't mention actually earlier, the Russians are using cluster bombs in Kharkiv, which is really bad. These are the bombs where like one bomb drops and then it lets go a bunch of little butterfly kind of little bombs. Not little, but they're little bomblets that drop all over the place. They can go off at different times. Sometimes they don't go off until you're walking by. Really dangerous. Finland and Sweden. That's the new name. I'm thinking NATO. Once Sweden joins NATO, we'll call them Swedo. Finland and Sweden it looks like they're getting closer to joining NATO. We're not going to know for many, many weeks, but both of their prime ministers have said they're going to make a decision soon in the next few weeks. Swedo. I like Swedo. U.S. is sending aid, so including some good stuff, which is nice. The EU is sending money. France is sending aid. The UK had sanctioned more people. Even Switzerland adopted the latest round of European Union sanctions. God bless you, independent Switzerland. New Jersey, this is my favorite. New Jersey froze $7 billion with a B dollars of a Russian oligarch's assets. That was pretty free. In New Jersey, love it. And per Le Monde, Le Pen, who's the far right racist candidate of fascism, wants us all to be friends with Russia when all of this is over. Actually, that's a good idea. You know what I ought to do actually too? Maybe I'll do this maybe at the beginning when we've got a lot of people, maybe I'll do I don't know if I should do a quick summary of the news like that first at the beginning and then go through the stories or what. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided. At the end's not a bad idea. The problem is, especially TikTok, people come and go. It's very sort of ephemeral. So like you never, for example, at any one time, like right now, there's 1,200 people. At our peak, we had 3,000 or 4,000, but the total number will be anywhere from 30 to 60,000 people that have dropped in, even though at any one time, it's like 1,000 to 3,000 or so. So it's, even on a bad day, we get like 30,000 people that have dropped in on the TikTok, which is fascinating. The YouTube is much less than that, but valiant, the YouTubers. So very interesting. Very interesting. See, now I'm cold. Okay, YouTube. Okay, Google, raise the temperature 1 degree. My thermostat drives me crazy.
Warming up the living room.
Not my thermostat, but when I got my new heating cooling unit, I should have gotten the newer ones they've got where apparently they can go up like 0.5 degree and they work so that you can, like my place, I'm either cold or I'm hot. I was hot talking to you, now I'm cold. It's like this, back and forth. So anything more on our little Moskva boat blowing up? That moose and squirrel? Big trouble for moose and squirrel. No, I didn't even think of that. That's true. Sasha, you got to wait. Sasha's in the... Okay, you know what? I'm going to get Sasha her treat, and this way you can all see her. Because Sasha's whining in the corner of the kitchen. All right, let me get you your treat, and then you got to say hi to everybody. That's our trade-off. You know this. All right? I'll give you the really good treat later. All right? One quick second. Come over here. Yeah, over here. Okay, go quick. Come. Now come. Hey, get over here. She's on the ottoman trying to hide from me. That was funny. Okay, have your treat. Good girl. And say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody. Oh, here. We'll get out of the TikTok comments so there you can see her. There's my little Sasha, who hates being held. Yeah, my love. Yes, my love. Yes, my love. Who had a big haircut the other day. Now she's getting a white stripe down her back. I don't know, you can barely tell. My crazy ever cover. Yeah, it's almost like that dog. Exactly. My ever changing colored dog. Every time she gets a haircut, she's a new color. She's age 12 now. It cracks me up. Always changing. So yes, anything else on our ship? I'm so excited about this ship. It's crazy. I'm way too. It's not normal for me. Going out. It's not normal for me to be this excited about a ship getting hit. This is the nature of being into politics. You get excited about crazy things. She just doesn't. She hates being picked up. And I will say this too. Sasha learned early on. Thank you for that. See, now if I'm just here close, then I can actually see your names, which is nice. I can vaguely see your names when I'm this far back. Booty shaking. But Sasha learned early on that people would take pictures. Lots of little dogs today. That people would take pictures with the cell phone. So now when she sees a cell phone, she goes like this. She literally is like this. Sorry. She's looking at me. But she's also never liked being picked up. She hates being picked up. People, like somebody tries to do it and she really gets pissed. But even for me, I can do it, but like it has to be in just the right circumstance. And then she'll kind of get relaxed. Oh, what was Anna Solo doing? I like her a lot. She's really nice. Oh, it was live when she found out her reaction as Ukrainian was so genuine. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, like, yes. Yeah, she's great. And I'm really liking Ukrainian badass too. She's good. I like her. Actually, a number of people though. There's a young Ukrainian guy who is doing language lessons every day. And he's adorable. He's like this, he's got to be like 19 or 20. He's this sweet young kid. And he's doing these Ukrainian lessons. And he's just, a word a day, a word or two. And he'll also help you and say, okay, thank you. I saw the sorting hat. Thank you. He'll say, okay, what is my name, or what is your name, or my name is. Oh, the Pikachus. I don't think I've seen them before. That's interesting. And they last a long time. Thank you for whoever did that. That's very interesting. But he's really good. So he'll do. I'm forgetting his name though. Sasha's 12, but he's very good. I can't remember who else, but I like him a lot. He's very endearing and they're interesting. He just literally a word or two that's very interesting. And occasionally he talks about Ukraine too, because I think he's there and he's very worried about stuff. So he does that. And he did a live the other day. He's very sweet and earnest. Earnest is a good word. So I've got to find his. Well, hold on. I could probably pull it up. I was going to say, since I'm like recommending accounts to you guys, I might as well see if I can pull up on my very slow iPad. My very slow iPad. One moment. TikTok. It's like slow motion on this thing. Everything. Come on, Sasha. You got to wait. She's behind me on the floor going, but it's not like it's more like like, come on, play. She wants to play. Okay, here's my profile.
I had this teacher in high school who would do this thing where if you messed up in class.
There we go. Profile. But everything is like literally like on the iPad where you push a button and you have to wait 10 seconds, Okay, following. He's one of my recent follows. Do not follow my contacts. Oh, here he is. Max Palatov. And he's got 6,000 followers. This guy, I love this guy. He's live right now. But his TikTok handle is MX, M as in Mary, M as in Max, MX period dot Palatov. So P-A-L-A-T as in Tom, O-V as in Victor. So Max Palatov, but it's MX dot Palatov. He's fabulous. And you'll see it when you see him. Here, I'll show you because this way you actually know, you'll know it when you see it. He's a nice guy. I like him. And he raises some money for some charities and stuff too. He seems like just a really good guy. But I love it because he's always doing vocabulary and it's a really nice little daily vocabulary thing. And again, why not help him? Russia reporting the ship sank? Get out of here. A TB2 UCAV? I'm guessing unarmed or unmanned vehicle. What's a underwater maybe vehicle? What's a TB2 UCAV? Anybody? I mean, I could Google it, but since we're all here live, we might as well share these things. Sasha's got a really nice treat she gets at the end. I give it to her after I brush her teeth. Now, it's a little bit of a fake because I brush her teeth. She hates the brushing, but she likes the toothpaste because, of course, it tastes like peanut butter. And then, you sunk my battleship. But then there's a greenie style treat that's good for her teeth. It's a new one the vet recommended. And it kind of has a gooey thing inside too that kind of coats their teeth, but it helps to protect it from the, whatever, plaque or germs or whatever. But that one she loves because it's like a greenie. Oh, it's on CNN now. Okay, Google, turn on the television. Let's see what they're saying. Okay, it's coming on. Hi, Sasha. Sasha's just like, you can see, I'm getting dirty looks. TikTok there, YouTube. Actually, I'll remove this so we can see what the, there's Sasha on the ground. Give me dirty looks.
In the Black Sea. In fact, it's a flagship of the Black Sea fleet. So the Ukrainians picked the target very, very well. It was very bold to do that. They had to have been hidden because any kind of radar or anything like that would have been picked up by the Russians. So they had to move quickly. It was a very, very bold attack.
Wow.
It certainly sent a message to the entire Black Sea fleet.
Yeah.
Which would have been a part of the assault on Odessa.
Stop.
A ship like the Moskva would have been in support of that.
Again, the Russians claimed it was some kind of a fire on board that set off ammunition, which would be unusual. The Ukrainians claim they hit it with missiles. Retired Major General Dan Petard,
Wow.
thank you so much.
There's a retired general talking on CNN about
Thank
it.
you, John.
Coming up,
Wow.
Russia war in Ukraine.
Okay, Google, mute. Oh my God, I'm so excited. That's amazing. After Sasha, I will play. Just wait. Sasha's excited too. But now she's got the ball in her mouth. She comes and she guilts me. She gets the ball in her mouth and literally goes, and it looks like she's 12 years old. She's an absolute joy, but she's very smart. Russia's flagship of its fleet in the Black Sea was just struck by 2 Ukrainian missiles. It's on fire and it had to be evacuated. It is by far, this is a quote from one of the papers, by far the most powerful Russian ship in the Black Sea, south of Ukraine, that they brought there for the war. And it is their flagship. It's their #1 ship that they're most proud of. It's called the Moskva. They named it after Moscow. And it's like, I don't know if it's not, we don't know yet if it's sinking, but it's hit. And it's hit bad. And both Ukrainian missiles appear to have hit it. Wow. Okay, it's a medium altitude. Let me see here. Medium altitude, long endurance, unmanned combat aerial vehicle. Okay, I thought it was some kind of a aerial vehicle capable of remote controlled or autonomous flight operations. And it carries, they were paying attention to it and they used cruise missiles separately. Now, how do anti-ship cruise missiles fire? I mean, they're just like land-based cruise missiles, basically. I used to know these things once upon a time when I was doing arms control work, but like back when we had Soviets, I was doing arms control work with slickums and glickums, all sorts of little acronyms for things or abbreviations. Well, that would be an acronym, I guess, if you pronounce it, slickums. Wow. Oh yeah, they better get video of this damn ship on fire. Well, it depends. It's nighttime there. The satellite imagery may only show like a red thing going on or something. Oh, is the Bakhtiar? But is the UVEC isn't a Bakhtiar, is it? I'm calling it Bakhtiar, but you know what I mean. The unmanned drones from the UCAV. I mean, that's not the unmanned drones from Turkey, are they? They can be land-based? Okay. I didn't know we had anti-ship, but I guess why not anti-ship cruise missiles? This is wild. I was a little young for Reagan. Well, that's not true. I guess I was in college and then grad school during Reagan. So, no, I did not work for Reagan. But so I guess I was maybe of age because I was 18 to whatever during Reagan, 18 to 26, whatever it would be. They're hopefully going to get some imaging. I would hope that there's going to be again, because the flames will show in the dark. So if they've got nighttime, certainly they've got nighttime. I'm not that old, thank you. They've got nighttime satellites, but daytime would pick up more. But the nighttime may still pick up the area, and you'll be able to see just like a red plume coming up or whatever. Wow. Oops, what do we got here? Very exciting. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm so excited about this. All right, guys. Well, the Turkish made Okay, I mean, I know the Turkish made the Bakhtiyars or whatever. I wasn't sure if we were all talking about the same system with these UCAVs. Google is amazing. I mean, God, imagine like not having this stuff, God. Being all right, just wait. Now the dog's getting upset. Someone's in the hallway she likes. It's too funny. Oh my. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna close up shop here. It's 8:40. I'll say goodbye on TikTok first, but I'll wait a minute because I know it goes slowly. I've got CNN on in the background just because you guys had mentioned that this was going on. Sasha is calling. She talks. My dog talks. Yeah, now they're talking about Russian propaganda. Thank you for that. Payam, something, and then it goes ... All right, guys. Yeah, I'm going to sign off. I'll say goodbye, but I'm hanging on a minute just so it doesn't like totally cut you guys off. Thank you, Kanasia, for that, because I know it was on CNN earlier. Now they're doing other stuff. Yeah, it was. No, this is Radio Sputnik. Oh, quick story, and then we'll go. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern U.S., same time, Washington, D.C. Sputnik, which is one of the Russian propaganda services. Oh, my God. She's running back and forth. I don't know if she's throwing her ball back and forth. She's throwing the bone by herself. She's got her toy, and she's throwing it and chasing it, because I can tell by the way she's making the noise. But, yeah, Sputnik. There she is. See, look at her. Now she's looking. Oh, sorry, you can't see. There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. Now you both can see her. Because she was playing, and then she stopped to look over to see if she wanted me to come over. It's funny how, like, after 12 years, you learn everything they're doing. So now she may start to play again on her own. We're doing the play-by-play here like we're watching a soccer match. Is she going to get the toy on her own? Now I think she's still kind of like, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, nope. Now she's going somewhere else. But yeah, Sputnik. So Sputnik is one of the big Russian disinformation services. They have like an English language website, and they hate me. They did a big piece about me back. I forgot what it was. They got pissed at me for something, but I was so proud. Like, I was the subject of an article that the Kremlin was pissed at me, and I was like, woo! So it was a while ago, but I guess they're pissed at me again, it would seem. They're pissed at all of you too. So what do you do? All right, guys. All right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much. TikTok, I did already say, it's going to cut you off anyway, but I did already say goodbye. So hopefully not too bad. Thank you, moderators, as always. Thank you, everybody on TikTok and YouTube, and for the gifts. I always appreciate those. And as always, we will be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. So Wednesday night, exactly. I'm going to try to go to bed at a decent hour because I lied last night again. I was up at midnight looking at my phone going, stop doing this. Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate that. I'm still tired, but they're getting easier in the sense of, like, at first I was kind of nervous getting up and doing this with you guys, but now it's more a matter of I try to cut the news back because I almost feel bad that there's 20 minutes of news. Oh, now the ball has, you can get it. The ball has gone under my plant. You can get it. Get over there. Go get the ball. Get the ball. Get the ball. Get the ball. See, that's the you get the ball, Dad. Why aren't you getting the ball? How are we going to turn this? Look at this. You get the ball. The ears are up even. She's got her cute little like ear thing she does. Sash, hi. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to have to play with her now while we got the news about the ship up. All right, guys, I'll see you. I'm going to go save my dog who's getting very upset. All right, thank you, moderators. Thank everybody. TikTok, good night. Thank you all. YouTube, good night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern.